Hello and welcome back. All right, we're going to, in this lesson, talk about how to set your first pin onto Pinterest. So I already have a pin set up on my website. For my website, I have pins set as the feature image. So whenever you are looking at my site, you'll see, ooh, this is a nice pin. And I waited to pin this image specifically so we would have something to talk about. So in the upper left-hand corner, you will see all these different little icons. I click on the pin button. This is just a shorthand way to go into Pinterest, and it opened up in a new tab. So I'm going to put that over to here. There we go. Okay, cool. Yeah, just because the program I'm using doesn't open up in a new window. So you'll see right here is your choose a board screen. Now what this will do, usually it pops up in a separate window, but for here I just copied and pasted. You will see this nice little pin. For some reason it only shows the square. I think Pinterest is going through a couple changes right now, so eventually they might show the full pin later on. But just for now, this is like a little preview to make sure this is the pin you want to add. So first thing I'm doing is I'm going to make sure there is a caption here. The caption is really important because it helps the search engines find your information. You can add like a new hashtag, like let's do hashtag sustainable fashion. Now you can see there's a bunch of different hashtags right here. This is just another way for more people to find what you're looking for. I wouldn't say you necessarily need hashtags, but I feel like Pinterest is moving in the direction of Instagram. So just keep that in mind. You might want to add them, research your pins and your hashtags, make sure it fits in with your target audience, and don't just clutter your pins with hashtags for the sake of it. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to add it to a blog page. You're going to want to make sure that whatever blog you have a specific pin board dedicated to your personal blog. So that way only your stuff is on this pin board. You don't want to add other people's stuff just because it's nicer later on when you want to come up with new content or want to reuse some of your content and repin it. You have one place to go, and that when people come to your page for the first cycle on here, this is the first thing that pops up. So new viewers can immediately go to my board, which is like really important. Okay. All right, so we want to first pin it to my blog. If you pin it up here, this just goes to the board page itself. It doesn't have a specific category. Now, I like using the categories. They're relatively new, so most of the online courses aren't going to talk about this. But it's really nice to help like sort out your stuff even underneath each of your boards. So I put this under blog posts because that's the best place to put them. All right, now you can see that it shows the full pin, and you can click to see it now, or you can like leave, which most of the time I do. But for this time, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like once it's up. Isn't that nice? It's the newer setup. Pinterest used to have like this part in the middle, and then you have to scroll down to see your information, and that just was not fun. So they modified it, and I frankly like the new setup. What you'll see is something called a rich pin, which basically means you have to like first set it up. I might do another series on how to get all this set up. But what this does is it takes the metadata or the information from your website. So when I set up a blog post, I write this as my title. So search engines know that this is my title. And then maybe I'll like highlight this first paragraph of copy. And that is my metadata. You'll notice that, oh, I have to go back. There we go. You'll notice that in the pin itself, it highlights the metadata so that basically it's the exact same on your website, and it helps people understand where they're going to. This is a really solid pin, and you want to strive to have pins not look exactly like this, but clean, concise, shows you exactly what you're looking for. You can have words on it. You don't have to have words on it. It just depends on your style, your preference, and your audience. So once all of this is done, you can check out, make sure everything's okay. And then at the bottom it says, I save this to, and then I put it onto my blog post under my blog page. And then this is the comment that you added. So the hashtags and all that show up, and you can actually like go into the hashtags. Afterwards, you can, I added my Tailwind button. So once you get Tailwind and have all that set up, you're gonna get like the corner thing right here. That will basically set up a bunch of different things that you could do on your browser that you couldn't otherwise do. So this actually saves a lot of time. So what I'm gonna do is, and again, it opens up in another tab. So I'm gonna make a new tab. Okay, so what this will do is basically, it will open up another window, but just because the way my system is set up, I can't like show you a second window. But I went to my draft section to show you how to pin on Tailwind. So as you can see, here is my pin, and you can see like a lot of other pins. Your screen won't necessarily look like this, but the same gist will happen. You'll be able to look at different board names. You'll be able to add it to your tribes and do like a lot of other stuff. So to start, I want to show you that you can add it individually. So we already added it to the blog. Now let's say this goes under this one, maybe one of these. As you can see, like you could add as many that fit under what this pin is about. To make things go a little bit quicker, I added a bunch of board lists. So under here, let's say sustainable fashion trends, they might go under anything related to sustainable fashion. So you'll see like artisan fashion, capsule wardrobes, conscious consumerism. These are all different board titles that I can go into, and basically they all relate to the original pin. You don't want to add something to like puppy pictures or new vegan recipes if it's about like sustainable fashion. You want to make it relate as much as possible, because people will want to follow your pins for the content, and you want to make sure it fits in within your niche. So this is how you pin. Now you can either just add it to the queue, but what that will do is it will just add them all at once. So you see all these different open slots, they will all get filled at the same time. And we don't want that, because we want things to be parsed out a little bit. So instead, you want to have use interval, and then it will let you do this nice thing where you can schedule it to a day apart, 2 days apart. You just highlight and write in like 1, 2, 3. You can also do like a week. I prefer a day because that's usually how relevant it is, and usually I'm pinning like maybe 28 images at a time, so that's like literally a month's worth of pins if I pinned every single day, so it's kind of nice. Then you can schedule the optimize. I prefer this over to just open time slots, because when you get to a certain point, you're going to want to just have filler because you've already pinned enough of your own pins. So when it comes to your own pins, I suggest putting it under optimized. But when you go under, like, let's say you want to add another person's pin series, you can just add that under open time slots. There's really not that much of a difference, but it does help a little bit more. So that way more people can see your pins at the right time. So once all that's done, you can press set interval. If you want, you can add it to like Twitter or Facebook. I did this for a little bit, but frankly, it got annoying on my Twitter because I would see like the same pin for like 20 times and my followers didn't like that. So you can add it, but you don't have to. Tribes is something completely different. We could probably get into a whole little section about that, but basically it's a bunch of people on Tailwind pinning similar interests, and you could go in and find more content to share with your followers. So we're not doing that today. So I just want to press schedule, and it takes a little bit to go. And what it did is it actually added to my list here. So now that we're on my nice little schedule page, you can actually see where we are. I have to find it under here, but you can see like some of my other pins that I made. So you can see where it is based on the location of some of the others. And that's that. You did your first pin. You can always go back to Pinterest itself and check out under the blog to see if your pin was already successfully added. But the other pins, there's gonna be like maybe 28 in the next month or so. Those are gonna show up over the next couple days. And what this will do is get your information in front of as many people as possible at the most optimal time. And slowly but surely, your follower base will grow. About, I'd say 60 to 80% of my blog traffic comes from Pinterest, which is like really great because I get a lot of different audiences. And this is good for starting off because you don't need a lot of followers like you probably would have on Instagram or on Facebook. And those take time and money to gather. This is completely free. I mean, yes, you can like do ads and you could do some other stuff, but the majority of it is free. It's attainable. Yes, it can take a lot of time. I've only been doing this for like a little under a year. And I don't have that many followers, but my traffic is really great. So each to their own on how fast and how far you want to take this. But I'm happy with the results, and I hope you can be too. So just hunker down, get as much as you can, and make some really quality pins. And then the more people will start following your traffic and your site, and you'll be able to share more. So that's what I have for this section. If you want to keep watching, we'll be talking about how to make a pin from scratch.